Alright everyone, hello, what is up? TheLoganatorz here. Welcome back to another episode of KSP Conquest. Today we start in the vehicle assembly building our next installment on our SpaceBaza 1 space station. We are building the solar array as well as a science laboratory, so that way we can just constantly research some stuff in space and get a whole lot of science out of it. It's going to be very useful, however the startup cost is going to be pretty insane. Anyways, we're moving on from that and we're going to construct some advanced Atlas satellites so we can map the biomes on the Mun and Minmus. We already sent one of these to low curve in orbit, a slightly different version, but it still had the same scanner and was on the same mission, but this one's just going to go a lot farther and map the Mun and Minmus. It's going to be the same rocket for both because getting to Mun orbit and Minmus orbit require about the same amount of delta V. Anyways, here it is, lifting off the pad, ditching those side boosters. This thing is not recoverable, because I just couldn't be bothered to make it recoverable, I guess. So, yeah, we're just going to lift out of the atmosphere here. Flight path is nominal, everything looks good. Pretty simple mission to fly, nothing too difficult at all, especially since we have that fairing protecting us from the brutal effects of the atmosphere. Normally we would flip out because that dish on top is not very aerodynamically stable, but we've got that fairing, so that's all good. Anyways, we're pushing our way onto Minmus orbit. Well, this is a Minmus transfer burn right now, but then eventually we'll get to Minmus orbit. So we're just going to do the burn, and we do eventually get out there, no problem. Since I'm environmentally conscious, I'm going to deorbit that secondary booster there, the second engine, and continue on the spacecraft's own engines into a stable orbit. So, mission accomplished. We just need to stand there, well, just sit there and scan the surface, and we'll be all good. While our other craft are building, we're going to construct our most ambitious project so far. We have accepted a contract to land on the Mun and pick up a survivor who has crashed on the Mun and is left only with one passenger part left. It's like what is it, the cylindrical tube curbled part or whatever. But nevertheless, he's stuck on the moon and we need to go rescue him. So we're constructing the largest rocket that we've ever made so far, and we're gonna go send that to pick him up. We're putting as many boosters on the side as we can that the craft will allow, and we're gonna construct that. But that's gonna be some time, so right now we're lifting off the pad with SpaceBaza's 1 expansion. This craft it's massive. Hopefully I can recover that first stage so I get a lot of the funds back, because I'm running very short on funds. I got like 50k in the bank right now or something like that, so I'm on the verge of becoming bankrupt. So these missions start, they better start paying themselves off, or else I'm gonna be in serious trouble. Anyways, I do get up to the space station, no problem, and there goes the second stage. As you can see, I've added some SRBs to the side, or the front, so that way it can burn back into the atmosphere. There's no probe core on this thing, so it's going to be completely just kind of susceptible to all the forces that are enacted upon it. So hopefully it can make it through re-entry, survive, and land just on the parachutes. But before we do that, we're going to dock this with the space station just so it doesn't drift away in the meantime, so that way we can land the second stage without any problems. The first stage, however, I did manage to lose it because I did an accidental time warp, and so all that money went away. So, trying to get some back here with the second stage. We're just coming through the atmosphere here, going straight through, going at 2 kilometers per second. Very brutal re-entry, but the engine is rated for that kind of heat. So, we come in rather nicely, drogue chutes deploy, main chutes deploy, and we are slowed to about a 7.4 meter per second landing. So pretty good there. Get some more money from that. Anyways, we need to reorganize the station because OCD, and I like my station the way I like the station. So we're gonna put the solar panels on top there, and the science bay is going to be directly connected to that crew cabin. We're gonna rearrange the solar panels too, so it's attached to the life support part of the crew capsule, or crew cabin, I guess you can call it, the hitchhiker storage container, just so it makes more sense. At least it does for me. I'm gonna spend a lot of time reorganizing my station this episode, but I'm gonna cut through most of it for you so I don't bore you. Anyways, there goes the panels again. Just gonna reorientate the spacecraft the right way so we can catch as much sunlight as possible. So pretty good there, almost completed. Anyways, we're gonna launch Atlas Advanced 2. That's the name for the newer Atlas satellites with the newer scanning part. So yeah, we're gonna lift off and just head on out to the moon here. This is gonna be the similar mission to the first one. Same rocket, just going to a different destination. So pretty cool there. We're gonna ditch that fairing here in a second and get out into orbit. When's that fairing going? Thought I would be able to call it, but nope. Maybe right now. Right now? Okay. This is the joy of post-production commentary, so there you go. Anyways, we do push our way into orbit. Now we're doing our trans-lunar injection burn. I'm gonna have remote tech do most of the burns here, just so I can experiment with how it works, get the feel for it, because that's gonna be very, very useful for my upcoming Eve mission. What did I call that? I called it Aphrodite 1. That's what it was. Hopefully I can use remote tech to its fullest here. Anyways, we're getting into a polar orbit. We're just going to start the scanning, and that's going to be good. Anyways, we're going to launch our rescue mission to the Moon now. This is going to rescue the Kerbal who's stranded on the lunar poles. Hopefully that is a success. So, yeah, here it goes. As I was saying earlier, though, Aphrodite 1 is going to have a pretty hefty signal delay, about 30-40 seconds in signal delay. So there's no way I can do things in real time. I'm going to have to use the flight computer to manage most of my stuff. So, yeah, I'm going to have to practice with that a bit. I do practice with it a bit in the last mission at Atlas Advanced 2, and I definitely practice with the flight computer a lot in this mission as well. I packed so much Delta V in this mission to go rescue him because I did not want anything to go wrong. I had like literally 3 kilometers in orbit just from the second stage, and I had the lander itself with its own propellant. So, yeah, this mission was pretty good in terms of Delta V. I did lose the first stage again, though, because I didn't... Oh, what happened? I think I time warped accidentally again or something like that. Yeah, I'm not the best when it comes to recovering my first stages, at least this episode, so hopefully we can make up for the losses in the next episode. Anyways, we're coming down onto the surface here, landing on the poles. We realize he's stranded on a cliff, so we're gonna have to land on a near flat area, and I didn't want to go down any more into that canyon because we would lose line of sight with a KSC, which you can just see barely over the mountain here. So yeah, we're gonna land just right there. So almost lose connection with the KSC, but it turns out to be okay. Probably would have been fine anyway because we had that big omnidirectional antenna, and we could have connected with the satellites around the Moon, but I didn't want to take that risk. So yeah, here we are, just rescuing our Kerbal. He's an engineer, so he's going to be useful in the near future when we start constructing stuff in space, like space station parts and stuff like that. It's just going to be a very universal, nice thing to have, just an engineer around. So, there you go. He's on the surface, getting in the capsule, and lifting off towards the planet. We use the map view to see where the stars are, see which way we need to burn, and we are burning our way home. So there you go. Just going to burn retrograde, direct descent, going for a direct re-entry burn here. So yeah, there you go, and we get a nice shot of it just drifting over the Moon's poles. You see the camera change there because that's how the poles work. Anyways, we are off to SAS-4. This is the 4th space shuttle mission in the series, and you just saw something explode. That was the universal docking adapter that I had on the bottom there. You can see right now it's in like a plus shape. So yeah, it's gonna just make the station look a whole lot nicer, and allow for more craft to dock to the space station. It had 2 more docking ports on it, but I didn't angle the whole thing at 45 degrees, so the thrust went straight into the docking ports and not around it. So kind of lost a couple docking adapters there, unfortunately. Anyways, we're going to bring that center core down for the landing. Pretty easy to land this thing. I do manage not to slow down somehow. The craft wasn't slowing down, so I just had to use some of the fuel that was going to be used for landing to slow myself down, to deploy the drogue chutes, to deploy the main chutes, and it does work out nicely. But there's the space shuttle docked with the station. Now we're going to do some major reorganization. By major reorganization, I mean I spent 30 minutes of reorganizing this space station. I wanted it to be perfect, and I really liked how it turned out in the end. So first off, we're going to reorientate the solar panels to go upwards, if you will. I mean, there really is no up or down in the realm of space, really, but yeah, we're just going to attach that to that docking port. We're going to decouple everything, which is probably not the smartest way to do it, But we do that anyways, and just a bunch of moving around, just making it look nice. We want it to look the way we want it to look, so yeah, just moving this around. We don't have probe cores on the hitchhiker storage container or the science laboratory, so we have to use the shuttle and the solar array to do all the heavy lifting. But eventually this is the final product, and I think it looks nice. We get some internal views of the space lab, it looks nice, and the cockpit on the space shuttle, so pretty cool mission there. And while we're constructing that, the rescue mission comes in for a nice and easy landing. So engineers secured, we're able to complete that mission and get quite a few funds. I'm pretty sure it was like 150,000, 100,000 or something, so not bad. But now we're on to the next contract, which is to take a scientist to a specific location and do some experiments. So I constructed this plane, and as you can see, I sped this up to like 20 times acceleration, so sped this up quite a bit. But even that wasn't enough to show you how far I actually flew. Just look at the clock in the upper left-hand corner. Yeah, I flew for over an hour. Over an hour. Quite a bit over an hour. And I ran out of fuel. So, next plan was to just attach a huge rocket to the bottom. Yeah, that didn't work. Just was unstable. This landing site was a lot farther away than I anticipated, so that sucks. Yeah, here's just all my craft iterations, just trying to get over to that area. We have 3 craft that we try to launch after this, all with rockets strapped to them. This one, I time accelerate and the rocket phases into my craft and detonates. And so I lose half of my space shuttle. Well, now it's a space shuttle, I guess, but wasn't even intended to be one. Anyways, yeah, we lose that. But we're able to get down to the lower parts of the atmosphere where we can slow ourselves down, fortunately. And we do have a couple parachutes strapped to this, so that's good, I guess. However, it's not going to be enough to slow ourselves down, so we're going to have to get one of them out and deploy the chute so we can make it down to the surface. However, that's the next problem. There's no chute on Jebediah Kerman, so I realized my mistake really quick. Take a quick save just in case. Reorientate my Jebediah's head down into the water, and it works out. For those who don't know, if you orientate your Kerbal's head directly towards the surface or the water, they have a much better chance of surviving the impact rather than feet first. I don't know how that works, it just does, so yeah, luckily that was a thing. Anyways, we just get that guy attached to the ladder, just hanging on for dear life, and he is able to survive that impact, no problems at all. Now we just have to bring back the space shuttle from the space station, and we can wrap this episode up. This reentry doesn't go without a hitch. Nothing wrong happens. We just overshoot the KSC by quite some bit, so we're not going to be able to land there and get all our funds back. However, this thing has parachutes on it, so it just tilts up and land gently on the surface of the water. So, successful mission there. We rotated out the crew. We left Bob Kerman in orbit to do the science mission. We have some data up there, so we can start just experimenting with how the space lab works. Anyways, we're at Aphrodite 1 here, just planning our course correction and finishing the episode. This is it. Next episode, we're going to actually be able to send this thing into orbit. It's only 30 days out, so really cool there. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be an awesome highlight of this series. Anyways, guys, I do hope you've enjoyed, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode of KSP Conquest.